What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to gain muscle, and I've also got a bonus tip at the end, so overall it's 6, but you're going to have to stick around for that one. Before we get started though, I will ask you for a couple of favours. 1, like the video. 2, you subscribe. It's free, costs nothing, and really help me out, really support the channel to make more videos in the future that hopefully will help you achieve a physique that you're happy with and a healthy lifestyle. Let's start with point number 1, nutrition. You have what you call a maintenance level of calories, okay? So say like you're the average person, has a sedentary job, which most of us really have nowadays, and we don't get to move as much as we'd like. However, you still hit your 10,000 steps a day consistently, which is really good. Something you should try and aim for anyway, and you still manage to get in your strength training sessions 4 to 5 times a week. Great. Your maintenance is 2,500. Okay, so you know what your maintenance is. If you don't know what your maintenance is, I would recommend looking online for calculators which tell you what your calorie intake should be. However, these are not the most accurate calculators. I would try 2 or 3 different ones and then just take the mean number out of that and then give that a go. And again, if that doesn't work, then you probably have trial and error, which will be the most accurate way of determining your maintenance calories. Okay, so once you've established your maintenance calories, how much more do you need to go over? What is it, 500, 1,000, 1,500 calories? Not really. It doesn't actually take that many more calories over your maintenance to gain muscle. When you go over a specific threshold, you start gaining fat. Your metabolism needs time to adapt to the extra calories. I would personally start off adding an extra 200 to 300 calories above your maintenance. I know this may sound like a small amount, but hear me out. Anything above that, when you're not used to eating that many calories, your maintenance is 2,500, you now add in an extra 200 to 300 calories, so say potentially you're sitting at 2,800 calories, so your body needs to get used to the extra calories that are coming in, okay? In order to keep fat low, you need to make sure the calorie increase is not too aggressive. You'll start to get into this fat gaining process. It's not ideal. You want to be making sure that for every pound of muscle or every pound of weight you gain, fat is minimal. Inevitably, unless you're a newbie, you probably will gain a little bit of fat in a bulking phase. However, there are ways that you can keep this at a minimum. And one thing I would say, which could be potentially controversial, a lot of people say, oh, should my calories be the same on my off days? Well, I would say no, because even though you are resting and recovering, your body doesn't need that much of a surplus, okay? So on your rest day, if your maintenance on a normal training day is 2,500 calories, on a rest day, your maintenance isn't going to be 2,500 calories. So therefore, you're already overeating if you're sticking to your main maintenance calories for an active, normal day. You don't need that extra 300 because what you're doing is then, instead of having that extra 300, you're probably having an extra 600. And you're not utilizing this. And guess where these calories go? They get stored as fat. This is very important. I would make sure that I'm at the very most eating at maintenance of an active day on my rest days. Normally a workout burns probably, a strength training workout that's typically an hour, burns about 200 to 300 calories. Okay, your Apple Watch might say it's burning 600, which is not true, unless you're doing an actual hit. I mean, high intensity interval training where you're actually going full on for the working period. Unless you're doing that for an hour, you're probably not burning anywhere near 500-600 calories. So it's more around 200 to 300 calories. By consuming maintenance calories on your rest days, you're already consuming probably about an extra 200 to 300 calories. Be aware when people say, yes, you know, keep your calories at a surplus because your body's recovering and you need the extra calories, etc., etc. That's perfectly fine. If you understand that your rest days, you will use less calories and therefore you'll probably need to consume less calories. So that being said, you need to make sure you take it up by about 200 to 300 calories, ease into it first, begin seeing improvements in your strength training, whether that would be more weight, more reps, better form, shorter rest periods, any improvements that you can find in your training. As long as you continue to see them, you'll find 200 to 300 calories is an ideal starting point for gaining muscle. Point number 2, Rest. A lot of people have a misconception that training every day is better. The more you train, the more you gain. It's actually the complete opposite, okay? The human body needs to rest. Growing doesn't happen when you're actually training, it happens when you're resting. Unless you're an elite athlete or a professional at some sport where you perhaps have the requirement to train 6-7 times a week, it's not necessary. And if you are a professional, you are an athlete, then you will have a regimented diet, you will have a regimented structure, where you get your adequate sleep, you will get your adequate rest, you probably get a massage every week or probably every 3-4 days to help with recovery. The average person doesn't have the luxury of having somebody perhaps cook for them, massage them, and making sure that they are adequately recovering between sessions. Training 4 to 5 times a week, ideal. If you don't have the time to do that, you can train 3 times a week. You can follow a full body split. I'm currently following push, pull, legs, rest. So I train 3 days on, 1 day off. You can also follow upper, lower, rest, upper, lower, rest. You also have, of course, other options that you can tap into depending on what you're into training wise. But the most important thing here is to make sure that you are getting good quality sleep, at least 7 hours a night, and that you are taking your rest days when you need to. Sometimes you may not feel like you need a rest, which is fine. Maybe you can sneak in an active recovery session if you don't feel like taking a complete rest day off, which is absolutely fine. But I find that taking a day off sets me up to go into my next session full of energy, really wanting to crush my workout. So yes, do get enough sleep, do take your days off, don't overtrain, and you will see growth. Now moving on to point number 3, keep hydrated. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. The reason for this is your muscles are around 70% made up of water, and what this means is if you are drinking what you should be drinking water wise, around 2 liters, 2 to 3 liters a day is optimal. If you're drinking that much, that means that your muscles will be a lot fuller, they'll be hydrated, they'll be better positioned to perform, which means that your weight training sessions are going to be better, probably lift a bit more weight, few more reps, longer workouts, shorter rest periods, better pumps, and that's all going to help your training. Along with the point number 2, good recovery, and point number 1, good nutrition. That is the key to making sure that you are progressing and gaining muscle. Everybody's going to gain muscle at a different rate. This is to ensure that you're educated and you know what is required to gain muscle optimally. You might gain muscle at a slower rate or a faster rate than your friend. It doesn't mean that this doesn't work, it just means that that's what your body is predispositioned to do, okay? Your body, maybe you don't have great genetics in gaining muscle fast, but you might have great genetics in being lean. So it's not going to, I'm not going to say, oh, you're going to gain 5 pounds of muscle in the first month or 2 months. Everybody's different, and some may gain, some may not gain as much as others. Point number 4, okay, train each muscle at least twice a week. The reason why I say this is because the frequency of training is just as important as volume and intensity. A lot of people follow the typical bro split. We do chest one day, back the next day, shoulders the next day, arms the next day, maybe legs, maybe skip it. This is not the optimal way to gain muscle. If you're looking to gain muscle as quickly as your body allows, then I would suggest training for each muscle twice a week with the correct volume and the correct frequency, okay? Looking probably around 18 to 20 sets per muscle per week. So instead of doing this in one session, which is going to completely annihilate your muscles, you should split this out between 2 sessions. So 10 sets one session, 8 to 10 sets the next session, split between a few days. That will give you optimal recovery, and that will also give you more room to grow. A good split for that would be upper lower, rest, so you hit into chest, shoulders, arms, back. One day, your quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves. The next day, you rest, and then you go back. You may be able to emphasize more body parts. You could do an upper day that's more chest focused, then your lower day is more quad focused, then your second upper day is more back and shoulder focused, and your second lower day is more hamstring and glute focused. So you can mix it around how you feel is better suited for you, but I do recommend that you are hitting them at least 2 times a week. So time for me to go and train. Stick around for point number 5 and the bonus point later on.
sun is down, freezing cold. That's how we already know. Winter's here. My dog will probably do it for Louis Bell. That's just all he know. He don't know nothing else. I tried to show him. Yeah. I tried to show him. Yeah. Yeah. Astro. Hey, hey. She's in love with who I am. Back in high school, I used to bust it to the dance. Now I hit the FBO with duffels in my hands. I did half a Zen, 13 hours till I land. Had me out like a light.
Workout push day today, chest, shoulders and triceps. Did a little bit of a strength day today, which is what I had programmed in, a bit lower reps on the main lifts. So that's in the bag now. We're going to be moving on to the fifth and final tip, which is quite surprising. Don't neglect your cardio. A lot of people do this, okay? So a lot of people think that because they want to put on muscle, they have to sacrifice the cardio. They can just afford to not do any cardio whatsoever. But the reality is cardio has a lot of benefits, not to mention cardiovascular, of course, but also it will help you with recovery as long as you're not doing high intensity interval training and you're doing more of a LISS approach, which is low intensity steady state cardio, which will help your muscles repair and recover quicker. It will increase the blood flow to the muscle. So don't neglect your cardio out there. And as I mentioned before, what you do have to stay away from really is HIIT, high intensity interval training, if you're looking to build muscle. The reason for this is because high intensity is of course high intensity, so it does take a while for your body to recover from such strenuous workouts. So if you're having a cardio day on your lift days or even on your rest days, that's going to hinder your recovery, it's going to hinder your progress. And if muscle gain is your number one priority, then I would stay away from high intensity circuit training, high intensity interval training, and I would swap it for a brisk walk on the treadmill with a slight incline, cycling indoors or outdoors. You should be able to maintain a conversation whilst you are on the treadmill, whilst you're on the cross trainer or on the bike. It will aid with your recovery and help you maximize your muscle growth. I mentioned that I was going to give you a bonus tip, so here it is. You ready? Consistency. All the 5 tips before this that I've given you will not work unless you are consistent, okay? So you might choose the best workout in the world, but if you can't stick to it, then you're not really going to achieve your goals. Best diet in the world, again, if you don't stick to it, you're not going to make the progress that you are looking to make. So very important point here, arguably the most important one. You could have the best of everything, but if you're not consistent, you're not going to make the changes that you're looking to make. So wrapping it up here, I hope you learned something today. I hope you can take some of these tips away and implement them into your routine, and hopefully you'll gain muscle and improve your lifestyle as well. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.